Good afternoon, Tony Datino on Wednesday afternoon doing my Live with Tony. And today's session is going to be on a article I'm reading today as I was attempting to sit at the pool here in Windermere, Florida. It got a little windy, but I did read it and I just found it fascinating. Article coming out of the Massachusetts General Hospital, Mind, Mood, and Memory magazine on the trouble of concentrating and maintaining focus. So what happens to your memory as you go through that and the fears and the worries that it provokes in people? So let's talk about, so how do we sharpen our focus and improve your memory in the process? So what are the tips here that they're discovering at the Massachusetts General Hospital? Well, the first thing that we're thinking about, and today, I think in today's day and age, it's probably as bad as it could ever be, based on the news and the elements of what's going on in our society that just demands sometimes that we just breaks our focus away. So the first thing we're thinking about is, so what are your life's activities? What are the things that you're doing in your life that are causing you to divert some of your focus points and divert some of your attention? You're attempting to learn a new job, or you're in a new job and you're trying to learn what the new procedures are. You've just been employed by a different company and you're trying to learn what you're supposed to be doing. You're in a class and you're trying to increase your professional stature in terms of your education. And as we're going through all of these educational efforts and endeavors, right, do we have trouble concentrating? And I would say today, majority of people that I'm meeting in the various Zooms and social interactions that I have will go about COVID. Did you hear about the latest thing in COVID? Or did you hear about the latest thing that happened here? Or did you hear about this person? Or what this is happening, the political environment or educational things. I mean, there's just so much news that's in such a diversity that the sadder bad news is I see more and more people say, I don't listen to the news anymore. And that's crazy that we're losing our ability to concentrate on the things that are going on about us, even from the point we don't want to know what's going on in the latest news. And not that you've got to be a news junkie, because I've learned not to listen to news after 6 p.m. at night. And I wait, and if there's anything I want to listen to, I record it and watch it the next morning. So there are things to do, but the point of the matter is we are having trouble concentrating, but yet we need to learn something. We want to be able to sharpen our focus that can help us to improve our memory. So here comes Massachusetts, the Brain Health Research Group at Massachusetts General. Before information, now this is something I've talked about, before information can be processed into your brain, it ultimately has to find its way into your head. I'll call it your head, your brain, into your memory. It's what we call the encoding process. So the first thing that people don't often think about is their focus of their mind in the mode of wanting to remember something they are about to hear, or something they're about to listen to, or something they're reading. So when I pick up a magazine, or I pick up a tax bulletin letter, I'm looking at the latest tax letter, and my focus on that information? Or do I have the news and the music, or somebody distracting me or trying to talk to me, or a phone ringing, or a cell dinging? Or do I have other distractions that are inhibiting my ability to input into my brain through my eyes, my ears, through what I'm touching? Do I have distractions about me? And I say, so many people today have multiple distractions and worries and concerns, which then brings me to the next point. I talk to people when they tell me, gee, I just can't focus. I'm saying, okay, so what's cluttering? What are the things that are cluttering your mind? And in a safe way, I could ask it directly, what are some of the things that are causing you to be stressed? And sometimes when we're in stress mode, we're not focused. Again, we're not focused on the information or the things that we're trying to absorb and or retain. And then the next thing is, gee, do we give ourselves the appropriate amount of time to go hide and become focused? Do we clear our space from the distractions that we've got about us to where we can go get our quiet space or a quiet time where we can just go sit in our own zone of space and then use that zone to be able to study or learn or retain, to encode, so we have it for recall. And in today's environment, it's probably as complicated as ever. As I was reading an article about the Gen Zs struggling with COVID and how it's impacting their learning and their ability to be socially active and all of the hardships they're facing. But the challenge becomes is attention and distraction. So the first thing is you have to always think about it. I always say to people, do you want to remember to remember? And they look at me like, what the heck does that mean? No. Do you want to remember what it is that you're trying to remember? Meaning, is there something in this that you want to retain? And therefore, your first element of focus is you have the desire to want to retain the information that you're about to listen to, read, or talk about. And so in my case here, my first purpose of my Mind, Mood, Memory magazine was to read something that I could share with my Live with Tony audience. So I had a clear space. Okay, I'm not going to go off and do something else. Clear space. I said to my other half, give me 15 to 20 minutes. I've got to focus on what I want to do with my Live with Tony this afternoon. And I clear space and distractions. So now I have total attention dedicated to my Live with Tony. Now, I then look through and I say, okay, what are the key points that I want to share? So now I go through the actual article and I say, okay, let me focus on a couple of key points that I want to make sure I share with my audience. So the first thing we recognize is that we have this clean up the clutter, all right? And I've already talked about that. So what's going on at home and the distractions you've got with kids, family, spouse, jobs, news, neighbors. I mean, there's just so much going on today that we have to start by saying, let's clean. Let's clean out this distractions. And then get a schedule or put some time, as I say, give yourself some time where you are in your own world of relaxing and then learning. So calm down the strategies, calm down the clutter, and focus on the strategies that help you. So the clutter is one, so let's wipe it out. And I sometimes say to people, just go like this, like you're erasing what's in your brain. And the second thing is go find your space and time. So space means, is there a place where you can go hide or just be, and you just like, wow, I'm in that zone. I'm just in my space. For me, if I could just do a quick flash to you right there is my space. I go out there on my lanai porch there, and there's the pond. I don't know if you can see the pond in the distance, but there's trees, and sometimes the birds are chirping, but that's my space. I can go out there and just be there, and I can just be in quiet time. I can just set myself out there, and so I can go out there and read. Maybe it's at breakfast. Maybe it's at prior or after dinner. I can just sit there, and it's my time to just absorb whatever it is I want to encode, to talk about, to creatively think about, to do something that I want to be able to accomplish and do. And then as I do that, there are times when my other half will come in and want to talk to me about something, or the phone will ring. I'll look on the phone to see who might be calling, and of course we get lots of spam calls in this day and age. So the phone, the file, and you hear the cell phone dinging away. And so the next thing you've got to realize is, okay, I'm in this moment, I'm in my space, but all of a sudden something distracts me. There's a sound, a sight, something, that just goes about. And sometimes I hear the eagle, not the eagle, the hawk is out in the backyard, and instead of now studying and focusing, I watch the hawk, and I say, okay, 5-minute break, I'm going to watch the hawk, sits on the fence, does this thing with the insects and the bugs, or whatever hawk is looking for its meal, but I then consciously divert myself away from what I'm trying to learn, or what I'm trying to absorb and or make notes on. Now, when that happens, and I go back into zone, I go back and do a quick review to say, where was I? Where am I? What can I be doing in this particular point in time? And so, you know, I'm diverting and coming back, but I'm consciously diverting. So I'm consciously recognizing I'm in a spot where I'm not absorbing and encoding. So I therefore have to stop and not just try to, well, let me just keep going through the lines of what I'm reading here. Let me just keep pouring through this with nothing's going in. But then become mindful of that and then say, okay, space is cleared. The hawk has left the fence. The phone is out. I'm going to leave it somewhere else. And I'm not going to be distracted again. I'm going to be back into the mode of focus. Now, as you can tell, I'm a senior, which drives me crazy about all these things talking about age-related brain loss and stuff. And I'm saying, when have we learned how our memories work and how these distractions impact on memories, so we realize there are strategies and or things like clearing the clutter, finding our space and time, recognizing distractions, and not beat ourselves up and not criticize ourselves for, oh my goodness, I can't do this. Yes, you can do this. It's just recognize all these things going on. Do the erase that I talk about. Find your space that I'm talking to you about, and give yourself a chance to be yourself. And I have just lost my screen. So what do I want to share with you as I wrap this up and find myself being distracted for 15 seconds? I want to share with you, we can all get caught up in the moments of craziness today and recognize that our memories, as we have those emotional stresses and interruptions, can just create disjointing, can just break apart from what we're trying to accomplish. So the first goal is to recognize the clutter and all that's going on and give ourselves a little break to clear space here, but then physical space, as I was sharing with you in my back lanai with the pond and the trees. Recognize then it's time for me to learn. I want to remember this stuff. And that's where some of the skills that we have in our Maximum Memory Mastery online course are included. And in that, we talk about, so how do we take paragraphs of information and keywords, and how do we lock them into our brains and make associations and connections with them so we have solid retention of that information that we want to remember. And then when we start to drift a little bit, do we set ourselves up with periods of time where we're not in what I call a cram session? So when we're working with kids a lot in schools, we realize that kids in school, they just do these cram sessions, 3-4 hours, and they just jam. They pass the test. And what we realize is, you know what, about a 40-minute study session is about all your brain's going to be able to effectively absorb and retain. So do you give yourself the right spaces of time? If we add all these pieces together, you know, I'm an optimist. I'm saying, even at senior level, I'm reading and learning all the time. I'm listening and talking. But I'm also distracted with different things that are going on in my life that take me away from those moments of reading and separating. So today I went, to the pool thinking it was going to be a little warmer than it turned out to be, and I brought some of my literature that I wanted to absorb for my Live with Tony. And you sit at the pool, and there they are, the groundskeepers with their mowers and blowers and all of the racket noise that they were making. So instead, I just turned around, made a couple of phone calls, and waited for them to leave, and then picked up my Mind, Mood, and Memory magazine to get ready for my Live with Tony broadcast that I just finished doing. That's going to conclude my Live with Tony for this evening. So let me give you an update here. The love of my life is going to have a birthday on Friday, so tomorrow and Friday. I'm planning to take her a bit away for a bit of relaxation at the beach here in Florida. And so off we go to Cocoa Beach tomorrow for a couple of days. And I'm not sure if I'll get back home on Friday evening in time to do my Friday Live with Tony. But if I don't, I'll pick it up on Saturday morning and at least get my third session in for Live with Tony this week. So stay tuned, but in the meantime, stay well, clear out that clutter, give yourself some space and time, and find something that you want to learn. We call those the mental challenges that are crucial elements of lifelong brain health that enhances your memories and your ability to live a mentally and physically well life. Have a good evening, and we'll see you most likely on Saturday.